welcome everybody to Tom and Missy's After School Special. We know that kids are maybe watching Netflix, and then you get to hang out with us and have kind of the how the heck am I going to navigate this series. So Tom,
yeah,
why don't you introduce yourself?
So I'm Tom Richardson. I'm a psychologist out at St. Thomas Academy. Some of you may have seen me. Some of you may have thought that we didn't have a psychologist or anything here, but I've been here for 20 years, since like 2000, when Missy actually used to work back here.
Right.
And
back in the day.
Yeah, so I do a lot of testing for students out there that have learning issues, and things have changed where I'm doing a little less of the testing and trying to do a little more supporting for people. So I have a wife and a 10-year-old son and a dog, and we're all at home trying to figure this out with the rest of you guys.
That's right. That's one really unique thing. We're all living it at the same time. So I am Missy Perry, and I am a mom of two graduates from here, Mitch, 2012, Eddie, 2017. So some of you out there that have those older kids home, trying to navigate space and watching them kind of boss you around. We'll talk some about that later. I was here for 10 years in the 90s, early 2000s, and then I met Tom, of course, and headed out after we found out our son Eddie had hearing loss and kind of did that whole thing. I was the director of guidance and counseling here and did a lot of the retreat work and all kinds of other stuff. But what's exciting is I got to come back 3 years ago and work on professional development retreats. I'm a counseling consultant and mentor, and we have a phenomenal department, so it is just delightful. And again, still working on retreats, and we are going to keep our prayers out there for a senior retreat here at some point before those boys head out. So that is a little bit about me. Tom, can you flip the screen?
Yeah, and so we can, maybe I can flip it. So some of the stuff might get blocked by your videos and things like that. If you're having any problems or anything, you can press your microphone and chime in if there's anything. We'll try to help. I think we'll do some presenting of some information about parenting and stress management, and we'll try to open it up to some questions at the end. We thought we might have 8 people here and then we could have a dialogue, but I think there's more than that right now. So we'll do our best to kind of answer some questions at the end. And as Missy has on there, if you jot down something, we can try to come back to that at another time. I'll say one thing about kind of the overall, like what we'll try to accomplish today. A lot of parents sent in some, really good questions about how to handle, this kind of change with distance learning and with, just dealing with the stress of, living in our homes on top of each other. We'll try to get to some of those things. At the end, there's a bunch of resources, and we'll try to make this presentation available to you so you can link to those resources. And so a lot of parents want to go, wow, how do I deal with the anxiety my child's having, or how do I deal with someone who has attention problems and can't deal with organization of what's happening in school. So there's good links like childmind.org and things like that have some good resources. And so if we can't, kind of cover it all in an hour, there's a lot of good places you can go to kind of get some additional information. And we also have some links back to like the counseling department at school.
Right.
We want to place more, we want to give them more work to do because I'm sure they're not busy.
And we are hoping this is just a beginning dialogue and presentation, and we'd like to do more of them. So we have a lot to cover, and if we get through it all, we do. If not, we will push it to next week. But we're hoping that this will be helpful to get you started here. And one thing we've been doing a lot at St. Thomas Academy this whole year is kind of what's called an appreciative inquiry, where you start with something that's already working, that there's already something going good. And in the midst of all this upheaval and everybody being thrown into these roles and thrust into these roles, that we don't really necessarily want, and we maybe don't think we're good at, we need to stop and spend some time thinking about that we all have strengths that we bring to the table and to our families and to our homes and to this distant learning. So if you do have a pen and paper, we just wanted you just to look at these 3 questions, and you don't have to write a ton, but just kind of what strengths do you bring to the table that have benefited your family during this time of shelter in place? Are you organized? Are you fun? Are you a good cook? Are you really good at, managing and visual spatial and getting everybody where they need to go? Are you creative? Are you a person that wakes up happy? Like, what are some of the things and the strengths that you bring to the table? The second question is, some unexpected positive things come out of any kind of crisis, any kind of really hard thing. And just wondering, has there been something kind of unexpected, a positive thing in your life that's come out of this time of the COVID-19? And then something that we're gonna hope that you do every day, and part of your night gratitude actually is what went well today. It's a what went well journal. And it's something that I've talked to my son, Eddie, about for sports, and I do it myself because we have big self-critics. We're high achieving parents. We want the best for our kids, our family, our community, our world. And we can often go to that critical, what didn't go well versus what went well. So just today, starting the new kind of phase, what went well for you today? And to jot that down and have that be your framework. The brain does well what the brain does often, and starting out in a positive framework helps us go outward and be more open versus going inward and problem solving, which is an easy thing to want to do in a time when we have a lot less control. So we'll give you a few seconds here.
I'm looking through all the pictures and everyone seems so calm. And all of the
Yeah.
backgrounds, there's no dogs barking that I can see, but we have most of you muted, so. But it does seem calm.
All right. So I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. When thinking about when Tom and I were putting this together and talking to some parents and some teachers, we really thought about this as a time for you and to really think about you and where you're at. And if I am going to be able to regulate my emotions, bring calm, bring steadiness to my family, which takes a lot of practice, and we got to be really good to ourselves and be patient. I need to really be able to name and understand what's happening for me as a parent. What's going on, not just in my immediate family, outside my house. Do I have aging parents that I'm worried about? Are there financial things that I'm worried about? What am I worried about, within my home? Am I kind of in that sandwich generation where I'm taking care of parents and taking care of my own family? Are there people in my own house that are really, really struggling? And how am I taking on and looking at this whole really almost nationwide shelter in place? So taking some time to think about what is happening for me, name it, and just naming it and feeling it, not judging it, and that will help as you move towards a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So as parents and guardians, dealing with our own stress and emotions, which isn't easy to do, that is the way to bring calm and balance to our families. And not just now, but certainly now in times of stress and uncertainty. And so if we want to be more emotionally balanced, more emotionally regulated, be calmer, then we need to name and figure out what's going on with us. And we're going to spend some time with that today. A lot of times what we want to do is emotionally suppress. We just want to stuff it all. We don't want to think about it. We think that's helping us. We think it's going to get better if we just forget it, versus emotional regulation, which is feeling and dealing with it. Now, that doesn't mean that you, right at that moment, always deal with everything, but sometimes it's just letting the feelings and the emotions and the thoughts wash over you. And people that suppress feelings oftentimes, and I don't know, I'm sure some of you have experienced this, maybe even today, people either stuff them or they act out or explode. And a lot of times it's with anger, it's a reactive expression. And then it ends up starting this whole chain reaction of all kinds of other reactions. And then you got a you-know-what show. So
Yeah.
we really want to
There's-
talk about, that balance. There's a fun thing we did with the junior retreat. It seems like a long time ago, last month. And it's called a 30-second rant. And I say it's a fun family activity. Everybody can do it. Now you have your own family rules as far as, swear words or using names or whatever, but you set the timer and everybody, you can do it just with your spouse. You can do it as a family. Everybody gets a turn just to rant, just to get it out. We're not solving. We're not doing anything, but just unloading. And it's fun because some people will be a little bit like, oh, well, I don't really want to do this. And once they get going, people usually love it. So try that little activity at home.
And I'll say, just as I see on here, dealing with parents and guardians, who has an older parent that they're dealing with. I'm in my 50s and I have a 80-something-year-old mother, and we all react quickly on things. And Missy's talking about that emotional side of things. As a guy, I'm more on I want to solve everything, and I have the 86-year-old mother who's calling and asking if she can go to the store to get raspberries to put on her grandson's cake. It's like, no, I'm going to run over and get that for you. And I want to solve everything, but we can't do that. We can't do all of that. We can't take on everything. And it's trying to find some sort of balance in all of this to get through it.
Yeah, one thing switched quickly in my home, having a adult kids home. Our oldest informed me and my husband that you are not going out anymore for groceries. No errands, no anything. I'm doing it. You are in the risk age group. And so I snuck out about a week ago to CVS and got some stuff. And I got caught when the garage door went open eating chocolate eggs, which he said immediately were not essential. And I felt like I was a teenager that got caught drinking by my dad. It was such an odd feeling, and it was all out of care, all out of concern. But I was like, wow, okay, we're gonna have to have a conversation about this because he's got a lot of anxiety about this. So it was an interesting, we're not in Kansas anymore moment for the Perrys.
So do you have stuff that you wanted to talk about, the calming mind versus the coronavirus mind?
Yes, the coronavirus mind. So one thing that we keep hearing, and you'll see it in articles and you'll see it everywhere, is, this whole embrace the unknown, embrace the unknown. And I think for most parents, it's like, what? Embrace the unknown. It's like, no, I spend a lot of my life making sure I know the unknowns, that there are no unknowns ahead of me. I eat unknowns for breakfast. Like, this is not going to happen to me. And this is definitely a time, the whole letting expectations of normal go and being able to try. And there's a lot of personalities that cannot roll with things very easy. And I can certainly fall into that category in some different areas, and to let go of what's normal. And we're going to talk more about, putting first things first, but what do I need to do just to be present today? Like, what do I need to do? There are going to be unknowns. There is, there's upheaval. I mean, this is just a whole new world. So being present, part of calming your mind, is to stay in the present and live what I can live today. And we're hoping that we'll give you some strategies here to be able to do that. So control the controllables is one of my favorite lines. I use it with my kids. I use it with myself. And, we have a circle of control, a tiny circle of influence, and a circle of no control. Well, that circle of no control feels huge and large and looming. And all we have right now is how we respond to the no control situations. It's how we respond with our attitude, our effort, our self-talk, our beneficial self-talk, and our gratitude, how we treat people, and what we focus on. That's what we got, because there's a lot out there that I was just listening on my way in to Governor Walz, and you're just hearing things, all sorts of things, and all different people are talking, and it can just feel like so much. So sticking with what and how can I be present today? How can my attitude, effort, my gratitude, right there. That's what I can control in my house and in my world today. Go ahead, Tom. One thing that we spent a lot of time talking to the boys about in large and small groups, and in fact, a lot on the junior retreat, was automatic negative thoughts. They will not keep you in the present moment. Anxiety loves the past, it loves the future, and it hates surprises, and it just plays with you. And automatic negative thoughts, we all have them. They come all the time. We can have 350 different emotions, all kinds of different thoughts in one day. And the issue is sometimes we feel like our thoughts and feelings are the truth, and we barrel in and we ruminate and perseverate, and we can't get out of them, and they end up keeping us from not living fully, not staying in the moment, and always worrying. And for the moms out there, being a mom, I'm always 5 chapters ahead. Always have been. That's just how we roll. We already know kind of what's going on, and that helps our anxiety. And so this is hard, again, to live just in the present moment and be happy with what happened and what the positives were for the day. There's different kinds of automatic negative thoughts, and catastrophizing and all or nothing thinking is a really big one that's happening right now for people. If we don't do this, this won't happen. It's black and white thinking. It's everything thinking. And, I should do this. I should never do this. What's other families doing? Am I doing as well as other families? And all this comparison, and it can just spin and spin and spin. And what we need to do, because thoughts are just going to come and go. They're representations of what we're thinking and feeling and our world around us. They are what they are. It's what we do with them. And so one thing we teach the boys, a real quick thing, is evidence for and evidence against. If I'm thinking something's going to happen, this coach didn't play me for this reason, blah, 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 and we hear that a lot. And this coach doesn't like me, evidence for, evidence against. When I was on my way over here, I was like, okay, what if this presentation is way too long and parents don't like it? And Tom and I have those same kind of.
It's going to be too long.
Yeah, it is. Automatic negative thoughts. We have them too. I had to say, hey, we are really excited to do this. We have wonderful parents that are working their tails off. We'll do as much of it as we can. Kind of evidence for and evidence. And I wasn't mad at myself, accepting thoughts and feelings that, hey, even though I've done this kind of work forever, whatever, I'm going to have some hesitancies and some insecurities or whatever about what we're presenting to. And you just accept it and you move on and you regroup to the excitement and the fun that we're having.
And I, when you think about accepting and where you're at and stuff, I do think there's some level of lowering expectations for ourselves too. Like, we are not going to, St. Thomas is going to support your kids as much as they can, but it's going to be different. And I was just talking to my wife about this. It's like, she's working with a 5-year-old, trying to do a Zoom meeting with an autistic 5-year-old as a paraprofessional. It's like, if I can talk to that kid for 2 minutes, that's going to be great, because that's what he's going to get that day. But you might have a senior who you're thinking he's going off to, college next year, and this is the end of it. And she said to me, we knew a lot of people in high school that were not very good students that they're doing pretty well now as adults. And a lot might be living with one right now.
Right.
I'm not sure about that.
Right.
But I suspect.
Or we think we are. Right. All right. Another Perry line is putting first things first. And I'm a famous one. I don't know how many of you are out there for the wanna-haves. And so those are oftentimes a lot more fun than the have-to-haves. And what we're finding, and a lot of parents have been talking about this, is days just kind of running into each other and feeling unproductive and feeling like you're not checking anything off your list, and things taking so much longer, which they are. And for people that are really noise sensitive, having movement around your house will just set you back 10 minutes of what you just started. And so putting first things first is really thinking about, in the present moment today, and again, we have some strategies to do this. What are the have to haves? What do I have to get done today? The want to haves, those are over here. But what are the have to haves? The 1, 2, 3, 4 have to haves that I need to do.
And yeah, I'll give you an example of what I had to do this past week. It's Easter and it's tax season. And it's like, what is the most important thing to my family right now is I had to go do the shopping and looking at all of the hams that were not there that my wife wanted and trying to manage my emotions through that. And realizing that trying to get food for my family is more important than finishing the taxes that now get put off until July. It's amazing, what's important to you on a day-to-day basis. So, our schedules are completely blown up. When I first, heard that we're not going to have kids in school, and I work at a clinic 3 days a week testing people, and I can't see people one-on-one, I was like, what am I going to do? My routines were just completely off, and trying to figure out what the next steps were really hard, to a point where my wife has her schedules with my son, and I would come out at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and go wandering around, and she's kind of like, you need yourself a schedule. And that's what I think, everyone's schedule is going to be different. Everyone's routines are going to be different. But establishing something for yourself is just so important as an adult. It's important for our kids, but it's also part of, taking care of ourselves as well. So we're kind of available to our children when we do have those moments when we can engage with them. I think I don't know if anyone came to our angst presentation last year. The main things that we have to take care of, and if we got them down, getting enough sleep, getting enough exercise, eating right, these kind of routines can really, make us, ready to be, present with people. If, you lose 2 hours of sleep, which most of our kids are doing, they're not ready for the next day. So we got to take care of ourselves in that sense. It's going to be a challenge for these kids in helping those kids keep those routines as well. They want to do their social media until 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's going to be a tough balance for that. There's going to have to be some leeway with that. As I have up on there, this is my wife's schedule for today, and I took a picture of that. And the first thing she said was, "You can't take a picture of that. That's not our typical schedule." That has like English for 15 minutes. That's not the typical one, because every day is different. And as you might guess from that, my son goes to a German immersion school. So our trying to teach him is challenging. So he has to get on, his own routines, and helping him get onto Zoom. It is a challenge for everyone, and you just got to give it time, and these things kind of emerge. So I kind of put, I don't know if you guys can see Lionel Richie on there, but that was Missy's edition on that. It's lovely.
You got to have a meme here and there. You got to have a little fun.
Exactly.
And again, reiterating that this presentation is really for you as parents. There's a lot of questions about our sons, and we are going to get to those. We really want this to be about you learning some things to help your life be calmer.
I think to, kind of deal with that kind of stress that we're all dealing with and things is we have to first take care of ourselves. I suspect, as most of you may have found out, it's like if you watch the news from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock in the evening, it's like, how are you going to sleep that night? If you get that stuff out of the way a different time, you can probably get enough sleep then that night. Dealing with that kind of stress and that you're always kind of thinking and what is the next things and you're not in the present, you're always kind of thinking about, well, what's tomorrow? What is next week? And you do have to think about those things. But if we can be kind of systematic in, how we do that, write stuff down, make your own lists, checking a box off, just so you get that stuff out. So then when you're trying to deal with your children in the evening and things like that, that's already kind of been kind of dealt with. I put down the example of I can't believe it's not butter. Is that, as parents, some of you might be single parents, some might, be two-parent families, some might be distant, distance, people living separately. The more we can support each other, in this, it's going to be important. I can't believe it's not butter is that my wife sent me out to buy groceries because she's not a big fan of going to the grocery store right now. And she claims that 2 times she told me if it's I can't believe it's not butter, do not buy it. Of course, that's all that Target had, and that's what I bought. And when I came back after having stopped at my 86-year-old mother's house and trying to, deal with that, she asked me, I can't believe that you bought that. And that is like, my emotions just went, I'm not present anymore. I told her I want to take that thing of butter and kick it down the street. But I took a breath and we came together on it and laughed and things like that. It's just, she wasn't upset with me, it's those little things that you can control, Yeah. And if you don't have the control of that, it's just like, it just rises our emotions. And that leads me to that's why we're hoarding toilet paper. These are things that, the rationale for that is supposedly that if you have one thing to control in life, you got that. At least we have that for going for us.
And that's why you can buy it on eBay for $45.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, and people are buying it, And I think part of this too is why it's harder to be calm is our life structure gave us natural breaks from each other, gave us some ebb and flow with sports, with theater activities, working out, all that kind of stuff. And, we are really together, like together, and things get exposed and things that aren't so good get magnified and the good gets magnified too. And so I think just that patience and being kind to each other and kind to yourself. And when that's, more snitty word is going to come out, like Jack, my husband, he has this lawyer voice that's different from his regular voice. And it is just like penetrates the house. And so we had to negotiate, like, when I'm working on stuff or in a meeting, you got to take that lawyer voice downstairs. And so just like Tom and his wife came together, you negotiate. We're renegotiating the deal all the time here with each other and with our kids. So we are going to talk just a little bit about parenting, and we are parenting in the courage zone is what I call, and it should just say in the courage zone, not in and, but a lot of parents are saying, hey, I don't want to homeschool. I didn't ask for this. and St. Thomas Academy, we love the structure there. We love what our kids are getting there. And there's a reason why your sons are reacting the way they are. They are used to that structure. They're used to that flow. They're used to that schedule. So they are some are doing well and some are gonna just kind of rebel and reject it. And part of it is they don't feel as competent when they're not here and they're not working in a system that has those structures and parameters for them, and the adults here that are around, and the humor along with this more serious stuff. And so for us as parents, the courage zone is right there. And I mean, it's vulnerable. And there's a lot of parents saying, hey, I don't like the way my son's talking to me. And they're not giving me the same respect as they're giving one of the teachers or some of the faculty here. I mean, it is vulnerable and it's courageous to do what you're doing. And I really want you, and Tom, we've talked about this, really want you to know that, like, cut yourself some slack. It's progress, not perfection. It's not perfection. It's healthy striving and healthy progress. And this is ultimately going to help all of us and all of our parenting in the future. It just kind of sucks right now. It just stinks a little bit because it feels like you're on edge a little bit all the time, and that's not fun. But just know you're parenting in the courage zone right now, and it's going to help long term. Tom, flip.
Oh, was that the next one, or did I miss something for you?
You missed one of mine, Tom, but I can just talk about it if you don't get to it.
Well, I don't know where it went.
Well, what I was talking about in the other slide, and maybe it'll hop down the way here, is the difference between kind of reactive parenting and proactive parenting. There we are.
It is.
And that reactive parenting comes out of impulse, and think of yourself as kind of like bubbly water, bubbly soda, just always ready to erupt. Okay, and that type of parenting ends up with a lot more yelling, a lot more a lack of kind of impulse control for everybody. And it's easy to do because we're stressed right now, and we have a lot of unknowns, and our kids, we love them, and then they're driving us crazy all in one moment. The proactive style is parenting out of values that are already set, things that you already believe in your house. And they come with negotiation. They come with talking to your sons about what's their plan for the day. Part of that proactive is thinking in your head, okay, is this situation a 1 or a 10? On a scale of 1 to 10, what is it? And a lot of things feel like an 8, 9, 10 right now. And so it's really taking a breath, being good to yourself. Okay, where is it? Where does it fall? Breathe. And, we talk a lot about that structured directive approach versus letting them figure it out. Who's in control? Again, that's a negotiation, renegotiating the deal. What's your plan? How are you going to get this and this done today? Love to support you in your plan. What's it going to be? And we will spend some more time on this as we move forward, because I think there's a lot of questions, and we'll have our learning specialists and our counseling department come in and be a part of this presentation, and we can have a larger conversation about that. Tom, you can flip and flip. There you go.
So I was just going to talk a little bit about, kind of trying to find this balance between, having our goals in the future and what we want for our children, and thinking about, just, how we're going to manage our kind of stress level. And this is kind of a concept that's not a new concept by any means, but it's just something that's, kind of widely, kind of used in kind of counseling, and, for us to be more aware with people. So mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going around us. And, most of the time, I'll give you an example of like with my family and stuff. It's just like at the dinner table, how do you how can you be present? We have certain rules, and you guys probably have this, some of these same rules. Can you have a phone at the table? If I bring out a phone at the table, it's like, I'm gone. I'm not there with my family anymore. So my wife is very good about setting those as a rule. But when you're in a mindful state, let me go back to that. It's you're being present with with your thoughts. You're not thinking just about the future. And multitasking is one of the things that all your kids think they can multitask with their social media and their on their computers, and we do the same thing as we're trying to take phone calls and answer an email and things like that. But it's not really possible to be present when you're trying to do all of these multitasking kind of things, and it's doing one thing at a time and being there for that. And I think when you're able to get to that zone, you're able to have a more reasonable and nuanced conversations with people. And so on this idea of kind of mindfulness, there's what we call kind of states of mind. And to simplify this, I'd have to kind of, and maybe this shows my age, but I'd kind of do it as a Star Trek reference, is that you have, your Spock, the reasonable, I'm going to give you a logical, clear solution to everything. I think that's how I act as a father and a spouse. Then there's other, people, when you're reacting out of that emotional side of things, you're acting out of anxiety about thinking, you're acting about fear of something happening in the future, or you're immediately reacting to a situation where you just, found out your son didn't turn in, so many, English assignments or something. And when we're reacting out of either of those kind of, sides, we can't give, kind of bring things together and give a meaningful kind of dialogue with people. With my wife, she'll, I'm not the most mindful person, and we can all work on this. If my wife is trying to tell me about her day as a paraprofessional, and I start drifting off on something else and I'm thinking of my own problem, or she gives me a problem that she had with a kid, I want to immediately give her a solution.
And she wants to smack you down on
never
that.
ends well. That never ends well. If I can listen and take time and just reflect, that is where I would somehow get into that middle zone, with her. And it's the same thing with your kids. If you're kind of in the heat of the moment with things with them, it's not likely to result in a long-term solution with them. So this was another one of Missy's added things with our Zoom meeting.
Just trying to be fun, bringing a little
good.
levity in here.
So to get to that kind of mindful, kind of place, so we can deal with people without being overly emotional or always just trying to give a solution, but to be kind of present and kind of engaged with our kids and stuff. How can we do that when we have all of these things? And again, I think you have to cut yourself some slack. We're not gonna deal with all of these things at once, and we have to fall back on things like our routines and things like that to get us through the day, so we're able to kind of be present with people. so going back to the basics of kind of stress management, I think, you have to take care of these things. And I'll just kind of say a few things about, when they get out of whack for us, you know, meals and things like that, the COVID-15, I think people are are gaining 15 pounds or something in the past 2 months with this. Sleep is, so important. I see people coming in all the time concerned about their, attention and concentration. And the first thing I ask them about is, are you getting enough sleep? And invariably, it's people are having poor sleep. And I'll kind of say, and again, we fall back on coping mechanisms in the evenings and things like that. Oh, having a glass of wine and things like that. And these are, natural, we do those things. But when it gets out of line, too much, alcohol disrupts your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
All of the people I see in a clinical setting, it's, what are you doing at night to help with, kind of calming yourself and getting to sleep? And the number one answer for that is they're using marijuana. When these things are kind of out of balance and stuff, you're not going to be able to kind of be there, for your kids. Setting up kind of boundaries and things like that. And I think Missy probably would have some things to say with this, because it's, our time and our kids' time, our work time. These schedules are really difficult to kind of establish. And Missy, I think, was talking about like posting your office hours on your on your door, so the kids know when they can come and access you and when you're going to be available to them.
Well, and one of our teachers gave a great example. She has two different kinds of kids, and one's very self-sufficient, and she's working, she's teaching all day, and one needs her more. And so they negotiated that, hey, this is mom's time. You work on your own for this hour, and then I'll check with you. She set boundaries up with the child that needed kind of more connection and more regular interaction. And there's been a lot written in kind of tongue in cheek, but I think to put up signs like, mom, time out for mom. And if we don't have that time to regenerate, and we can really even explain to our kids, mom needs this time right now. And the self-care buzzword for women is horrible. We go, oh, self-care. Oh, okay. And we really don't take it serious often. And, one of the things that's going to come out of this whole experience is that self-care is for reals. And if we can find one thing as parents to do self-care for ourselves, we're in a really good spot. So really setting those boundaries for yourself, because with everybody around all the time, and moms and dads too, and I think I'm going to speak as a mom, you're feeling your family all the time. I can feel their presence. I can feel their stories. I can hear their voices. I can hear the inflection in their voices. And it's really, really hard. And you might have to physically put yourself in another room and just shut the door. And which moves on to social support, for parents. A lot of parents are having, get-togethers, happy hours virtually. I don't know about your sons. My sons are playing all kinds of card games and stuff with their college friends and their old college friends and their St. Thomas friends. And, we need that social support. We need that connection. We need to be able to laugh and also possibly cry about what's going on and what's happening. So getting that social support is just so important. And then, of course, with my little memes throughout, we got to laugh. We have to laugh out loud. I mean, I should laugh at how bad I was, even though I got here early to set up all the technology, and I still didn't do it right. So I'm just going to giggle and laugh. And so finding those times to laugh during the day is super important. And that's what I miss a lot about being around the academy is those boys, you laugh all day long. They are really, really funny. Yeah. And it's just a way of living. So they can teach us to keep laughing out loud.
That's not the last time that we'll have technology problems with you. The first time that we did a Hangouts with you, we had to have you as a little emblem of a phone on there because you didn't know how to establish a video link. But now you do, you're here.
I'm just accepting that about myself. I'm good.
I'll just put up one more slide about kind of coping and, kind of getting into that zone for us. We all have coping mechanisms, and I think those are the things that kind of bring us down when we're just overly stressed and we just, I need something to do. And some coping mechanisms are positive, some are negative, some go too far, one way or another. And I think there's an overlap between parents and what we do as parents for coping skills and what kids do for coping skills. I mean, watching TV is, my wife and I watch, a show or something at the end of the night, and it's great. Kids, also avoid, and that coping mechanism becomes, and I think this is, I could have turned TV into gaming, because that's probably a big question that a lot of the parents have are, how do I balance this between kids needing their, kind of game time and stuff like that, and everything else. I don't have an answer to that, other than there are a lot of good articles on that childmind.org about trying to establish some of those schedules. Every parent is going to have a different answer to that. I mean, before COVID, my answer and my, wife's answer was that there's not gaming during the school week. That is saved up, through time, that can be spent then on Saturday and Sunday. Those things have been thrown out of whack now for a lot of people and how we cope.
Right.
My wife's, coping is that she needs that exercise time the first hour of the day, and she'll let, our son watch a half-hour show while she does that. Well, that would have never happened, on any other day, but there's got to be some flexibility.
Well, and Tom, jumping in there too, with the screen time that's obviously for a lot of people been adjusted to more than they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I think it's important for our sons to know, like, this is not the new normal necessarily. This is a temporary, and again, we're going to have to keep renegotiating this, because we don't want to slide into that as the new normal.
And so, my points with the coping versus relaxation is that, coping is, things that we do to just kind of distract, some of it's distracting, some of it's our hobbies, some of it's, what we do for enjoyment. When you think about mindfulness and getting that point, the thing that we as like human beings have no tolerance for anymore is relaxation, just like, being quiet.
Yeah.
I don't do yoga, I don't do meditation, but I go for walks, and I'll tell you the thing that's, I sometimes will just listen to podcasts on a walk with my dog. It's probably the worst thing I could do, because I come back having listened to a news podcast and it's the same. I'm back to where I was at. I didn't relax. And I think we are just not geared towards relaxation, and kids are also like that, where it's just constant stimulation and things like that. So if we can find 10 minutes of quiet time in our day, that's great. And then I think, those things can rejuvenate us a little bit, but it's finding those is difficult.
Yeah.
And then when I say kind of coping versus stress management, is that, we all cope, we all do these things to get through, but, kind of, manage that stress over time. It's trying to do all of these things. How do we have established flexible routines? How do we communicate with our spouse and with our kids and be there, in a mindful way? Um, that's going to be the overall stress management.
Yeah.
We'll all watch too much TV on the, this is why Netflix price went up $100, I think, in the past
Yeah.
3 months. We're all
Well, and
so-
it's gonna take practice. It's practice, and again, not judging ourselves, being patient, being kind, giving stuff a shot. There's a 10-minute meditation walk where you just pace back and forth, and you take a deep breath at the end of each 10 paces. And if you can find space to do that for 10 minutes, they say, I just started it today, that it will clear your head up. Within a couple of weeks, you'll be able to just pay attention to kind of your body and your senses, and it'll help clear your head. So this is just kind of a funny, again, bringing in humor. Let's look for some travel plans for this weekend. I know lots of people's travel plans have changed, and, all kinds of things. So this is kind of a funny map of the house. But the whole idea of gratitude, the real deep intention of gratitude is being able to find that in any situation, any environment, any place. And we've all heard and read authors and people talking that found gratitude in very horrific and really hard places in their lives. And so practicing gratitude it can be not as hard as we think. And I have Missy's kind of simple practicing gratitude slide here. Because when I hear it, I went to an all-day conference on it a year ago, and I thought it was overwhelming just looking at the title of the conference. And I thought, there's no way I can quiet myself long enough to do this kind of stuff. And I'm a pretty grateful person anyway, blah, blah, blah. No, so before your your little feet hit the ground in the morning, I really want to encourage you to just try one of these. Just 3 things I'm grateful for in my life. Tom, are you cutting me off? Are you giving me the hook, Tom? Come on. I'm just warming up, Tom. Come on. 3 things I am grateful to God for. 3 things I'm grateful, and I really want to push this one, I'm grateful for in myself. What am I grateful for about me? And that is a really good thing. Like, what is solid in me? And, what do I put both my 2 feet down for and bring to the day? It could be 3 people I'm grateful for. 3 things that I'm grateful for in my son, even those days when I just, ugh. And I know the one thing to do at night before you close your eyes is kind of the what went well, and maybe 3 things that went well that day. And sometimes when I cannot settle myself down enough to like pray and just calm myself, I'll just say the names of the people I'm thinking about. Instead of getting mad at myself about it, I'll just say the names of the people I want to lift up and hold up that day and pray for. So that's a kind of a different way to do it. And again, I'm just encouraging you just to start simple, and it's a brain changer too. Starting your day that way, thinking about things you're grateful for, it's just really helpful. Tom?
I think that's it.
You go into our resources?
Yeah.
How about, then to our other page. Yeah, our last page.
So I'll say this first. We'll try to put up the presentation in some form, get it sent out to the people that came here, and these are some links that will be on that. And this information it went out in a letter. I don't know how, last week maybe, or the end of the first week. And so Tom and I, we are available. We have office hours, and we have a link that you can click on, and you can set up a time to talk to us, and we will call you. We'll do a Zoom call or just a phone call, because there's a lot of questions that were asked that probably really deserve some one-on-one conversation that might have some specifics to your son, your family, your situation right now. And we would love to be a part of supporting you in that and helping you talk through some of that, and maybe giving some ideas and some encouragement. So if you click on these different links,
you'll find it'll go right to our calendars, and you can set a time to talk to us in half-an-hour chunks. And we would really, really like to offer that and do that and be that for the parenting community here at St. Thomas. And all day and every day, there's no place like home.
That was a good one, Missy.
Is everybody at least giggling a little bit? Come on, that was a midnight slide.
Can you unmute everyone and we can all take a breath and laugh?
Well, if people, did we unmute everybody? Can we hear everybody?
Yes.
Oh, they have to unmute themselves? Okay.
Can you put slide 20 back up again?
Slide 20?
Yes, that one. Thank you. Oh, the
No,
resources.
Okay.
the resources?
Resources?
Thank you.
All right, there we
Well,
go.
and hopefully, I think the PowerPoint's going to be available online. And this was, much to Tom and my chagrin, I think everything was recorded too. So if there's things that, and I noticed with the PowerPoint, the way that I see it, all my notes that I typed for the PowerPoint, they're supposed to pop up for me in the bottom. Didn't pop up, so it was winging it. It was an after-school special of winging it. So I'll try not to get mad at myself for the things that I forgot.
That's why you're supposed to print your things.
Oh, Tom, stop. Stop shaming me. So I would love to hear if anybody's willing just to share, like, what are some strengths that you found that you bring to the table? What are some positive, some good things that you bring to the table in the midst of this brand new, parenting extravaganza? Would anybody be willing to share?
Hi, Missy. This is Molly Wilson. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
Molly. Oh, there you are.
So
Yeah,
I'm very good at organizing. And so very early on with my two children, when this all started, I created laminated weekly chore lists. And so they can check it off. We can write new things on there. It's really helped a lot so that there are no arguments about what do I need to be doing today, and I don't need to be thinking of the same list over and over. Yes, you still need to do the dishes, things like that. So,
Right. And you can have a conversation with the document, like with the schedule versus kind of starting from scratch, right? If you're going to negotiate something, you got something already there, which is great. Oh,
now we just fight about if they've looked at the list.
Yeah. Okay, everybody march down, march past the list.
I think what I bring to the table is also some really good organizational skills. I created a family map.
Oh,
And this map also brought people to the same time zone, especially for the key areas or the key times of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And in between, I have their academic time and my work time schedule. It has been a challenge to, follow it every day, but for the most part we do, and I make copies for everybody. You can find them in the fridge door, in the bathroom.
oh. We're papering it.
If people find themselves lost, you just need to check where are you supposed to be and what are you supposed to be doing. And that map has helped me to just keep also some type of a schedule.
Right. Great. Holly, I see you up there.
Yes, hello, thank you.
What strengths are you bringing to this new adventure?
Well, I don't cook well, but I would say probably humor and scheduling.
My favorite Holly line was, my kids are eating macaroni and cheese and hot dogs, but at least the hot dogs are organic.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Grass fed.
Grass fed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Some other folks, don't be shy. What strengths are you bringing to the table here and to your families? I see a family in front of me.
Well, I can cook, so, and my kids are getting involved in cooking, so we're part of the COVID-15, although I'm also a personal trainer. And so I am doing Zoom training, and I've started that business in my living room. And so, and I'm also doing some online behavior change coaching. So my kids are kind of getting interested in that. And so Charlie and I have been doing some football workouts together, and to eat all of, to burn off all of the stuff that we're eating. But we do try and do family meals most nights still, just to have that kind of time together. More time together.
And are they device free? Like everybody, no phones, no devices, no.
Except for my husband.
Oh.
Thanks for unveiling all the things that I do wrong as well.
We'll
We'll do
doing all the wrong
week.
things. You
I
gotta
think a marriage session one is next.
do as I
I
say.
love
Yeah.
it. That's our next adventure.
I'm gonna dust off my copy of Men Are From Mars, Women Are
Women are from Venus. I was just thinking about that. Some of the dads out there, I see some dads on the list. Some of the dads, what strengths are you bringing to the table? Don't be shy.
Tech support.
Tech support?
Tech support.
That's
Good
For
one.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Anybody else?
I would say that for me at least, it's always, I have a real low tolerance level for the gadgets to begin with. And so for me, it's always like, all right, let's go. And I've put on a lot of miles on the car because gas is just obnoxiously cheap right now, especially in Burnsville. So I've been making an effort to like go down to like the River Valley or other places around there, just bike trails and stuff, so that they can get out and walk around. Now, up until recently, of course, the weather's been actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
So, but even the sun's out now. I don't care if it's cold out. Put your coat on.
Right.
We're going out. So if I have any strength, it's to make sure that, because my biggest problem is that they tend to think of this as almost like not a vacation, but just school light. They're not in uniform. Right. They don't have to watch the hair and the grooming and everything like that. Right. So they're taking everything lightly.
Every
and it's
day
like,
is
no,
not a snow day.
Yeah, exactly. You're still in school. So
yeah.
That's what I would add.
Yeah, I like it. You're a little bit of the camp director. Get everybody going. Yeah. Get your boots on, get your shoes on, and let's go. Let's our coats and roll.
Yeah, well, they like it. That's most of the time.
Most of the time. And
they don't want to go, but once they get there, they're fine.
Which is a lot of what happens when we get those thoughts, and we sometimes we just have to move our bodies, and then the thoughts and this is okay comes after. Great.
Well, I never watched the show, but once I started recognizing that they were watching the same Office rerun over, I knew it's like, okay, let's go. Okay, I've seen this one. Okay, the guy's going to do this, and he's going to do the angel and the.
I know the next line.
Right. So,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I can hear somebody. There's a lovely
have any other
right there.
positive experiences they've had with their kid, or any resources, something funny for us to watch,
or a positive outcome that happened that was really unexpected? Like,
I could talk about one. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about giving, as a parent, giving yourself some grace, and don't be so hard on yourself. I've found DoorDash to be a good source for some meals. So the cooking, at first I was a little hard on myself, I've got a lot more cooking to do, and just kind of decided, you know what, this is going to be okay. We'll get through this. Sometimes we'll use DoorDash, and more than, this is not the new normal forever, but
Right.
this is the current. And
Right.
there's actually some healthy options, Panera, that type of thing. So just a little humor, kind of funny to just thinking about, cooking and being hard on myself for, thinking, oh, I've got a lot more meals, but how can I make this easier?
Right.
Just kind of
Right.
giving myself some grace. But then my husband and I, we laughed, we use DoorDash a lot. That's kind of funny. It's a kind of, oh, DoorDash is here again.
They're going to be on my Christmas list next year.
Right.
Well, we have takeout Tuesdays now at the Perry's. In fact, that's today. That's kind of what we did too. And it's that whole thing about, what am I going to let go of in my range of normal, right? What am I just going to let go of? Everybody's not going to have everything, and again, I think the parents in this community are just so caring and so high achieving, and so holistic that it's hard. So yay, DoorDash, DD.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I know we're a little past time, and I guess, Tom, I wanted the parents to know that we have the questions. We got them today, and we really want to spend some time on how to address some of them and who we want to bring onto our presentation to help with that, because we've got a lot of really good people around here that I think could add a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
Tom, what do you think?
I think we have many wise people at St. Thomas Academy.
Is Billy McCarthy still on?
I don't see him. I think he fell asleep.
Billy! We'll be talking to him. So we want to really, really thank you for spending the hour and 10 minutes and for your patience in the beginning with Missy's techie oopses. And I'm just going to get better by next week, Tom. I'm just going to knock it out.
Well, this was good. It was a good first round.
Yes, it was.
This is the biggest Zoom meeting I've had.
So in closing, please be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and know that we are all going to support each other, and we're all going to get through this. And there's a lot of care and love in this community. So reach out to the teachers, us, the administrators, the counseling department. We're here for you, and each other as parents. There's a lot of good wisdom there. Thank you, everyone. It's time for DoorDash. Takeout Tuesdays for the Perrys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.